Hello. Yesterday, the government released its long-anticipated housing white paper. I'm joined by Gavin Smart, the Deputy Chief Executive of CIH. Gavin, this is one of the most eagerly anticipated things in the housing sector for quite some time. What's the big news for the housing sector?
Well, I think that the big news is that it does represent an important change of approach and change of tone, I think, from the previous government to this government across a number of dimensions. Most important, I think, the housing white paper clearly says the government knows it wants to do more about supply as well as simply doing things about demand. So it's directly trying to influence the numbers of homes that get built rather than send signals through the market, if you like. Second, I think it marks a move away from a focus exclusively on home ownership. The white paper is quite clear that it understands that we need to be providing homes for people to rent as well as people to own their own homes. The government's clear that their ambition is still around maximising people's opportunities for home ownership, and that's very important. But no, not everybody will be able to buy. Some people have to rent. And it also represents a move to greater diversity of provision as well. The white paper is very clear that we won't get to building the numbers of homes of the sorts that we need to build if we simply rely upon the very largest of the large developers. Clearly they've got to play a very important part, and the white paper is clear about that. But the white paper also talks about bringing more small and medium builders into play. It talks about the important role that housing associations already play and can play in the future. And importantly from CIH's perspective, it talks about an enhanced role for local authorities.
Yeah, so obviously, as I said, eagerly anticipated, lots of press coverage in the build-up as well to the white paper. It felt yesterday as though the reaction to the actual paper itself was a little tepid from the sector, really. Is there reason to be hopeful, though, from the housing sector's point of view, do you think?
Yeah, I think there is some reason to be hopeful. I mean, whether maybe some of the tepidness of the reaction came from was because, of course, this white paper followed a spending review and then an autumn statement, fiscal event, where the government talks about the amount of money it's going to spend. And so the white paper didn't say very much more about new money. It may very well, and I hope it does lead to the government looking again at funding for housing in the budget, and I hope that they will look at the total funding package for housing and maybe think that they need to do some more later in the year. But despite the fact that it didn't say a lot about spending, it did, I think, as an overall document, address a number of important areas that I think were worthwhile addressing. And some of them are quite small, but they're still important. So for instance, the fact that for a while now, we haven't really had any formal guidance for local authorities about how they're supposed to assess housing need. And the white paper was quite clear that what that's led to is a bit of confusion and some housing need assessments that are quite inaccurate, that have led to plans that are quite inaccurate. And government wants plans that are based upon a better assessment of needs. So that's a really kind of policy wonky measure, but it's very, very important. It's going to change the ground for which local plans are built on. I think that was important. I think the recognition that government does want to do more with local authorities, wants to see local authorities build again. Really, really important. That's something that CIH has long made the case for. So although there's a lot of detail in here, I think the detail is important because it's about trying to put together a set of measures that overall will address a problem that's been 40 years in the making and for which there is no single silver bullet.
A lot of the measures you just mentioned there and a lot of the other measures are going to be things that we won't really see the impact of for some time, at least medium and probably long term, aren't they? Is there anything that's going to be a short-term impact on the sector, do you think?
Well, I think there is. I mean, actually, what viewers might want to do is to look at Chapter 4 of the White Paper, because Chapter 4 of the White Paper says we know that the things that we've set out in Chapters 1, 2 and 3 are going to take a little while to have an effect. That means the supply is going to take a while to rise, and it also means that the effect that increased supply will have in terms of reducing rents and reducing prices will take a while to rattle through. So Chapter 4 then lists a load of things that government is already doing or wants to do to try to give help to households in the meantime, or great certainty for the sector in the meantime. So in terms of help for households, there's a lot in the white paper that's about things that we've already welcomed, already commented on, like the various programs to help with people that access their own home through the Help to Buy initiative. There's the additional funding for shared ownership that came as a result of the spending review, which we welcomed. There's the greater flexibility in the Affordable Homes Programme that came in the spending review, which we welcomed. But there are also important signals, like, for instance, the white paper is very clear that government knows it needs to give housing associations and local authorities greater long-term certainty about rent levels. It knows that that's the basis on which long-term funding is put in place, and that helps more homes get built. So there are things for the shorter term, but without a doubt, the main focus of the white paper is on getting more homes built, and the white paper itself acknowledges that that's a medium-term project.
Mm. Lots of stuff on supply as well, isn't there? And certainly a recognition that we need to build lots more homes, as we know. Lots of talk about affordability before, but actually, is there much in the white paper that goes as far as to, push for those new affordable homes that we know we need so desperately?
Well, the white paper recognises the need for affordable homes. In terms of funding and policies, to a large degree, it recapitulates what was already said in the autumn statement. It talks about the overall 7.1 billion worth of funding to build affordable homes. It talks about greater flexibility. It talks about a focus back towards affordable renting as well as shared ownership. All very welcome, but all essentially a summary of things that have happened before. The money, the funding that government is now proposing to put into affordable housing is extremely important. But we also know that last year we delivered the lowest number of affordable homes for, I think it was 24 years. There's a long way to go to get numbers back up. And I'm very hopeful that the government will use the white paper as the beginnings of a conversation and take that conversation forward into the budget. And in the budget, ask themselves some hard questions about whether or not we need additional funding to deliver even more affordable housing. I think we do. I think for a couple of reasons. We need to see the numbers rise up to higher levels and faster. We need to look again at the role that local authorities can play, and we know that local authority subsidy for affordable housing does score against overall government borrowing. And we know that there are limitations to the degree to which affordable rent, as formally defined by government, can help lower income households. And we think that there's still a place for much lower rents, including rents, social rents, that needs greater subsidy to achieve. So lots of reasons for hoping when we get to budget, government will think again about the total funding package for affordable housing and hopefully look to do some more.
Great, thank you, Gavin. And you can read our full thoughts on the white paper on our website and read in more detail our reaction to it. That's at cih.org. Thank you for watching.